At the top of the bracket, we have Mesmerizer, who is 6-0 with Stone Scar aggro. He's going to be playing Visarius, who is on a 3-color armory, your standard 3 factions. We have below that Marius 294. He is on Akaria Blue, and he is going to be running up against Catalyst, who is also 5-1 on Big Combry. On the lower part of the bracket, we have Tubu, or Tobo. I still haven't gotten his name quite right. He is on Stone Scar Burn 5-1, and he is playing against Platypus, who is also on a Stone Scar deck of some description. I would like to say it's aggro related, might also be Burn. And our very last matchup is Spa Pack versus Mephi. Spa Pack was 5-1 as well on Burn Queen, and he's going against Mephi, who we saw win out with Stone Scar Maulers. And we are jumping straight into the game of Tobu versus Platypus.
Stone Scar v Stone Scar. All right, let's check this out.
Yeah, a lot of Stone Scar in the top 8 today. It looks like the Fire and Shadow sigils really kind of taken over the tournament.
So Platypus is on, yeah, just like Stone Scar Burn Queen, it looks like. And then Tobo is on a more mid-rangey version. Looks like featuring maidens and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we have a little bit of early aggression out of both players. Some Pyro Knights in play, kind of staring each other down. Platypus definitely is looking like he's playing more of an aggro style and has a lot more early interaction. He actually had a nice little Varus favor there, cleaning up the Pyro Knight, pushing some extra damage, and smoothing out his power a little bit. Whereas Tobo is holding a little bit of a slower hand here. He's definitely going to want to pick up something.
Yeah, make no mistake, both of these decks are built to go fast. It's just in this game, there's definitely an aggressor and a defender lined up here.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's going to be Tobu on the back foot, playing the more defensive role, since his he had a bit more of a slower start. But this Statuary Maiden is going to cause a bit of a headache here for Platypus, with no immediate way to remove it.
And immediately going to give a shout out to how important Suffocate can be in this matchup sometimes in terms of staving off early aggression, because Tobo now's got some decisions to make. I think you have to play the unit here, but and then potentially just, you know, if they don't have the removal for Maiden, you're just set up real nice here. And yeah, Platypus doesn't have it. So
yeah, unfortunately not having the answer to Maiden, he's just going to have to go in both units here. One will probably get blocked off, and then Torch will clean it up. Or no, actually.
Tobo deciding to take the damage, I guess, because Maiden's his only unit, and getting its health higher is really important in this matchup. Just because that then puts it out of, say, damage plus torch range, or some number of rapid shot range, or whatever, right? It's his only unit. It's not discouraging his opponent from attacking, clearly, but he values being able to maybe put a few cudgels on it and hopefully have enough life total that matters. It's a risky proposition for sure.
Yeah, very true. Interesting line of play there. I think I would have preferred. I know that he obliterated for power purposes, but I kind of would have liked to have seen a Suffocate and then put the cudgel on the Statuary Maiden to make it too big. That way, the Pyro Knight wouldn't have had a great block into it.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Like, if your plan was to hold Maiden, it probably makes more sense to get the cudgels on it immediately, or why not just block the last turn with it? Although now you did get 2 cudgels out of it instead of 1, and now you can Suffocate Ronin and make a reasonable sized Ronin here. It seems nice. Tobo gets to... The big interaction here is that there's a pause on this Suffocate, and he's going to be able to read that this is not a rapid shot, because Platypus would almost certainly use rapid shot to save his unit here. So that means you can safely read a torches in his opponent's hand here. And this is where using that windows and pauses to be really, really important.
Yeah, and interesting that you note that, because due to the priority system, Platy's not going to have a chance to react with the torch to either of those weapons hitting the Oni Ronin. Yeah. So the Oni Ronin is a big unchecked 6/5 now. It can be traded with the 2 Grenadins and the torch, but that also puts Platy pretty far behind, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see him offer this trade. I think it's pretty easy to assume that they have a torch at this point. I'm not sure why you would put Oni Ronin in torch range here instead of just using an obliterate and keeping a 6/5 in play. But I guess Tobu's playing a bit defensively because he's on only 12 life or something. But I don't know if I agree with that line of play.
Yeah, I think I liked where you were going with that as well. I think I definitely would have preferred to see an obliterate come down there instead, guaranteeing that the 6/5 was going to crash for some damage.
Yeah.
But Tobu electing to take it a little bit slower. He's going to be on the long-term burn game plan, it looks like, already holding 14 points of damage. So just trying to scrape together another 9. So if he hits another power and another flame blast, that would have done it. But
he's just starting to go face now. And we're just going to start throwing torches back and forth. And Platypus gets the out.
Yeah.
Platypus knew, can do the math. 3 plus 9 is 12. And there it is. There it is. The top deck flame blast. Jeez.
Yeah. He did call it for himself. So interesting there. Flame blast closing the game out there. And we're going to be seeing a lot of that. We're going to be seeing a lot of flame blasts being exchanged on each side to close out the game. One of the stronger points of the Stone Scar burn deck is it does have a lot of reach.
Yeah, face is the place, as Summers to say, especially in this matchup.
A space is the place for the face. As you got the emote yourself, so
yes, A space is a very fun one. Although you can't A space burn spells, it turns out.
Yeah, don't really need to though. You can just click and drag a little bit.
How do you approach sideboarding in this matchup? Like, who's going to try and be the more aggressive deck? Like, neither of them knows who's going to be on the play. Like, it's a nightmare to try and figure out, well, do I want some defensive units? Do we just go all out aggression? Obviously, you keep in most of your removal, but like, I'm not a huge expert on this mirror, that's for sure.
Having played a decent bit of the Stone Scar mirror, the cards that stand out to me for Platypus are things sabotage. I kind of actually like some sabotages coming in. They often shut down Stone Scar very hard, taking out their big burn. It's going to be sitting in their hands, since Obliterate and Flame Blast often occupy hand space for quite a few turns. Other noticeable cards I'm seeing, I really expect these Umbran Reapers to be coming in. The life swing off Umbran Reaper is too much to handle sometimes in the mirror, and with there being no silences in the Stone Scar colors, neither of these players is going to have an answer to them outside of killing it and eating.
There's also Steward of the Past, which is available, and Maiden. It's just a question of, do they want to bring those in or not, but anyway, this match is on its way, so we'll see what they decide to do. Got Oni Ronins on one side, Oni Ronins on the other side, getting torched everywhere.
Yeah, Oni Ronins and torches all around.
Tobo's got an ambitious hand. Platypus is going to have the board early, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Tobo at least able to respond to one of these Oni Ronins, and hopefully going to be able to pick up a unit to deal with the other. But depending on what unit he picks up, it's just going to die to suffocate anyway.
Yeah, we've got... Oh, wow.
Picks up another torch. This is actually, surprisingly enough, Tobo stuck on power, not hurting him too much, because Platypus's hand is full of power and cards that don't do
Tobo really wanted to see power there, but finding an answer to Oni Ronin's not bad either. But Platypus really wants to find a threat and found a threat. Maybe not the best threat, but still a threat. So we've got an interesting dance going on here. Tobo whiffs on power again, and Platypus is now finds the Obliterate and is curving out. And this is a bad spot to be in if you're Tobo, because even drawing a power doesn't let you cast a spell. So this is going to be a tough one for him to get out of. He really needs to find an answer and then find power. And that's a lot to ask for. But maybe Platypus just draws something but power the rest of this game, and Tobo can find a way back into it, but it's not going to be pretty.
Oh, and I think, unfortunately, Tobo going to take a game loss here as well anyway. Sideboarding is after the second game, and I think we did see him sideboard, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't play Plague in the main. So he, unfortunately, I think is going to take a game loss here.
Oh, man.
Not to be too discouraged, though. That game was looking not
both
very
of them
good.
sideboarded is what they're...
Oh, both of them sideboard. I only sideboarded 2 cards. No, unfortunately, I think the ruling here is going to be that we're going to restart the match since both players sideboarded, and they're going to restart a non-boarded game.
Right.
So we are going to have a restart of this game without sideboards here.
Right. So the rules did just go up and got changed that in a best of 5, all top 8 is best of 5, and it is not until game 3 that you sideboard. And guess we kind of some players missed the memo on that. I know we were immediately talking about sideboards too, so we were also slightly fooled. But looks like the TO is going to look into this and get a ruling, and I think your line is going to be a reasonable approach to it.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's the way we're going to do it. Remake an unboarded game. Yeah, unfortunate, but it was kind of fortunate that both players sideboarded. That way, nobody had to take a game loss for missing a rule. We're just going to get a remake on the match. So that's always a positive note. That's the way we would prefer these things to resolve. Just get a rematch instead of a game loss. So
yeah, double game loss is just less games for everyone. So yeah, let's do it the other way. Yeah, okay, we can confirm that. We're going to just have a rematch here with the unadulterated deck list, if you will.
Yeah, so we'll have the unsideboarded list, which is fortunate. Yeah, fortunate for Tobu here, or Tobu.
He was on the ropes there.
Yeah, that was going to be a very hard game. He was probably going to, if he was lucky, he would hit power, but then he would be stalled for a turn. He was going to go basically to like 14 health, and then the first unit he played would be an Impending Doom that immediately got obliterated, and he would continue to eat another 4 or 5 damage a turn at that rate. So, bit of a fortunate mishap for him. But yes, for those of you who are not aware, the ruling was changed recently. We had, due to player demand, we decided that we would in fact switch our series over to sideboarding after game 2 instead of game 1 in the best of 5. This was a change from last season and the Invitational, but after review, most of our players decided that they would prefer we sideboard after 2. So that is the way it works now.
Yep. All right, so that just means more action for everyone, even though some of the action may not have mattered. We've got, oh man, this is the classic Stone Scar matchup. Oh, actually, Tobo shipping that hand. I was gonna say sometimes it just comes down to who has more Champions of Chaos, and Platypus has 2 to now Tobo's 0. He had 1 in that other hand, but I guess he just didn't quite like what he saw.
Yeah, and this is interesting too. If Platypus doesn't, that banner was actually a huge pickup here, because if Platypus hadn't done that, it would have been possible that the champion. Oh no, it would have come out as 4/4. Yeah, you're correct.
He just has 5/5 right away, and honorary 3rd champion of chaos here in the form of Dark Return. And Tobo stuck on power is gonna be in trouble.
Okay, so we're getting more or less a repeat of the last game to some extent. Tobo having some power troubles. At least he was able to find that extra power this time around, and his hand is very stacked if he can ever get that far. Like, he's got the Flame Blast to remove, he's got Umbran Reapers, he's got Suffocates, so he's got ways to handle the board, but I'm not sure we're gonna get that far, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's stuck, and the champions are in play, and this is like I said, the Champion of Chaos is a powerful card. It's a burn spell, and also, just happens to do 20 damage instead of 5 or 6.
Yeah, and I think he had to hit a power there to have any chance of still going. Like, Tobo needed to hit a power last turn because he needed to have an Umbran Reaper, a Flame Blast, and play last turn. But yeah, just completely dead in the water now. He's gonna keep playing it out, but I have to imagine that it's not going to matter. There's no way for Tobu, even if he picks up power here, to remove both these champions or even put something in front of them that they wouldn't just run over.
And he's going to just go with the old I'll finish it myself.
Yeah, honorable Sudoku.
Yep.
Besides that, he's going to...
That is the downside to burn. You can play an aggressive deck and then have a handful of 5-drops and wonder why are you playing an aggressive deck?
Yeah,
and the curve is greedy.
It's interesting that you mention that because that is really the defining characteristic of the Stone Scar burn deck is you play a very awkward base. Like your power base is very awkward because a lot of your units, there's a big gap between 4 and 5, or 3 and 5 really. There's not a lot of 4s. There's some Impending Dooms and Statuary Maidens normally, but Flame Blast, Obliterate, Soulfire Drakes, and Umbran Reapers are all 5 drops. Like they're undeniably 5 drops. You very rarely cast a Flame Blast, even if you can, for less than 5. So it clunks. It makes your hand very clunky. Just clutters it up with a bunch of useless cards. But we are here into game 3. Platypus up 2-1,
which is a sideboard game.
yes, is a sideboard game. We already see some of those sideboard cards in.
Yeah, we see the plague here.
Yeah, Platypus with a very strong hand out of the start, though. He's got the Pyro Knight that's going to go seemingly unchecked for at least another turn, and then he's got the Impending Doom to follow it up with. But Tobu does at least have solid answers to these.
I think if you're Tobu chooses to not plague here. I'm not sure where he's thinking he's going to have the opening to use plague in the future. You're curving out into he's going to use. You really value the Annihilate there over the plague? Interesting decision there.
Yeah, I can't say I value it particularly. And yeah, he even picks up a Suffocate, which is like further punishing the eager Annihilate play. So we have some 5/5s that are going to be able to crash in the sky, but Platypus, even though he missed there, still has the Rapid Shot to clean this up and keep his on board. So Tobu is probably going to be forced to reload with the Umbran Reaper.
Yeah, Tobu is in trouble now. He's got a plague that doesn't even put this 5/5 into Suffocate range, so you can't even kind of do a wombo combo there. You can play an Umbran Reaper and gain a little life, but Platypus has plenty of answers to it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think this is just going to be a very quick game. Tobu is going to need some serious power, and if Platy ever draws just one more power, he's got 3 Obliterates in hand, so he definitely has the ability to go to the distance.
Yeah, and there it is. And now the bell tolls, I suppose.
Yeah, this is going to be a
3 Obliterates. Not going to need all of them here, I'm guessing, but
no, likely only going to need one more. This is probably only going one more turn, depending on what Tobu picks up here. He's going to need a torch, or not a torch, an Umbran Reaper. Sorry.
I imagine we might be seeing a torch to your own face. Could be coming out again.
Yeah, unfortunately not, but this is going to be it. Platypus is going to go ahead and wrap this up very quickly with a 3-0, bringing the Obliterate in. And yeah, just 3 very quick games all around.
That could have been a very different game. Tobu dying with Plague in hand is pretty telling. It still was against a triple Obliterate hand, but enabling that Rapid Shot to take out 2 of your threats essentially is that kind of spiraled out of control from there. Those little decisions can make a large butterfly effect going forward.
Yeah, they really can. And we did just see like the starts out of Platypus every game were very solid. He had the cards he needed to run with, and interestingly enough, it wasn't about the units he had so much as all the removal. Like he just always seemed to have perfect removal in answer on the way back, and couple that with the fact that he did have 1 or 2 units on the ground, it just produces this clock that Stone Scar is going to have to find a way to get past, and he unfortunately just wasn't able to do it there. No real sideboarding plans coming to fruition there. We saw a plague come in, which is an interesting inclusion. Definitely an interesting inclusion in the idea that it wasn't used there. I think if he had fired off that plague there, that could have been a very different game, like you were saying, Rhino.
Yeah, like I guess the idea of plague is one of the hard things to come back for a Stone Scar deck is if your opponent swarms you with like a bunch of the early drops, and plague can help catch up on those board states. But that clearly wasn't happening that game, so I think you're just supposed to shoot off plague to just, hey, it kills a Pyro Knight. I mean, if you're going to, I was fine with holding up Annihilate if you weren't going to use it on the Pyro Knight and see what their 4-drop was, but he ended up using it on Pyro Knight anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's what I thought the play was going to be too. When I saw him not fire off the plague, I assumed he was going to hold the Annihilate for the 4-drop and wait for something like an Impending Doom to come out that he could actually hit. But yeah, taking an interesting line there and annihilating the 2-1 and then getting punished, picking up the Suffocate off the top. So, yeah, an unfortunate set of circumstances all around. Could have possibly been prevented in that game, but the first 2 games were kind of a roll, so it happens. That is the Stone Scar mirror in a nutshell. It's very easy for one person to make it a super lopsided matchup.
And as they say, when you play with fire, you can get burned, and that's what happened there for sure. Just one little mistake will just snowball it out of control in that kind of matchup.